One day, my granddaughter, Amaya, had realized that I was her mother's mother. It then made me think of my long history of motherhood. The mother who gave birth to me and was supposed to give me comfort and nourishment had her own struggles with alcohol and poverty and was unable to give this to her many children. It was because of being raised in many foster care programs that I did not have a face to acknowledge her with. Throughout the years, I would get a phone call out of the blue from her, and was usually filled with apologies and drunken slurs, filled with confusing reasons why it was my fault that we did not know each other and we lived so far apart. I also had numerous women who did foster care and took me into their homes for short little periods of time and wanted me to call them mom. But it just never seemed to fit. I did not look like them, and I knew from experiences at previous homes that one day I would come home from my school and my bags would be packed and moving somewhere else. So this expectation was quite unreasonable. Then there was the woman who rescued me from foster care and actually adopted me. She had serious, undiagnosed mental health issues, and she also had a master's in social work. And therefore, she was praised in her circle of friends for taking on such a needy Native child. She wanted me to call her my mother, but her behavior screamed out of the pages of the book, A Child Called It. Her manic states required me to be on my guard at all times, and within the walls of her home. She would wake me in the middle of the night to quiz me on the day's events, and when I could not answer her questions correctly, she would require me to perform her rituals of insanity. For example, her compulsive disorders would cause her to dump all of my clothing out of the dressers and closets because in her mind, I did not fold them right, or I had them out of sequential order of color or by season in the closet. My bedroom became my jail cell, and the garage was my place of punishment for things that I choose to still not remember today. Her behaviors increased as I became a young woman, and her unhealthy suspicions of me always had me on defense. Who does this? Who would actually adopt a beautiful Native child, only to be cruel and heartless? I left this unhealthy environment at age 17 to find my biological family and was introduced to my father. Even though he had not raised me from an infant, there was definitely a loving bond there between us. 1 year later, I became a mother. And since I had such a strange upbringing by so many unhealthy forms of motherhood, I was not sure how I was going to be able to do this. I was actually in shock when the nurses thought it was okay for me to take my son home. He actually was the first baby I had ever held in my arms. No manual, no lessons, no classes. If you get a new appliance or a new car, there's always some type of manual that comes home with you. So I decided that I was not going to be this cold and distant or psychotic, paranoid, or super needy with this little brown bundle of joy. Unfortunately, I was unable to practice my new skills because he was taken from me at 3 months due to sudden infant death syndrome. So I was already insecure with my role as a mother, and then I was no longer a mother. Talk about really questioning your abilities. Needless to say, I had 4 more children, and I am not saying that I was the perfect mom, but I do show my children that I love and support every day throughout the years. I want to say that the importance of holding your family first is installed in my children as a priority. I have finally found something I love to do, whether it was rocking my babies to a song called Baby Beluga, or watching them reach milestones in their lives. Throughout the years, my children have brought home friends that needed to have a hot meal or clean clothes or some words of wisdom for direction in their lives because their parents were either absent or also cursed with alcohol and drugs. If you're feeding 4, 1 more at the kitchen table really does not matter. I love being a mother, and now a grandmother of 11 with number 12 on the way. As an advocate, a mother, a grandmother, Native woman with 23 years in recovery, I can say that I did what I could to stop the cycle of physical, psychological, verbal, and alcoholism. It does not matter what else may be going on in our lives, but we do have each other to lean on. And as my family expands to the next generations, they will know that they were loved by their mama, Sherri.